Coffee with the Pastor. Faked you out with Brittany this morning. Here I am. Welcome. Episode 62. Who's on? Someone tell me hello. Hey George, now that I know that Facebook really doesn't show me all the comments and it doesn't show me everyone who's signing on, it just selects them. I'm sorry if I don't say hello to you or if I don't respond to your comment. Sometimes go back on my laptop and I see different comments that didn't show up on my phone, and vice versa. What's up? What's up, Tori? Who's here? Comment and tell me you're here. Maybe that'll give me a better idea. Hi, Aspen. Hi, Tiffany. It's rainy here in Austin area. It is so nice. It was a nice Texas thunderstorm to wake up to this morning. Let me get a few more people on. How are y'all doing? Someone say something. Somebody. Hi, Michael. Thank you. Yeah. It's like not telling me who's signing on. So if you comment, that helps. Slow day. Okay. Well, hi, Fran. I am not Brittany. Brittany wasn't feeling well today, so we swapped. I was supposed to go tomorrow, and she was going to go today. So we swapped, and so she will be on tomorrow. But I found out about 9:15. Hi, Joyce. That we were gonna definitely switch, and I was not dressed, had no plans for what I was gonna even say tomorrow, and I had promised my daughter I would build a fort with her before, like in between 9 and 10, before, because I normally watch the lives, comment and stuff, and she was gonna be very disappointed if we didn't build that fort. So I went ahead and built the fort and then ran in here without a very great plan. But I think it was important to build the fort, and I have memories of, I'm the youngest of 3 girls, and I have memories of my oldest sister building the best forts, and she babysat me a lot in the summers when I was really little, and they both did, and she just was so creative. She would build a fort in the whole house. Our house was really small. It was probably like 1,100 square feet growing up. And she would build a fort in every room of the house with all the sheets in the house, and she would make like a carnival. And so every room would have a different game in the fort, and she would hang a floaty from a rope, and I'd have to throw a ball through, or knock down something with a ball like it was bowling, or there'd be all these different games. And then at the end she would take me to her room, and I would get to use my tickets that she made to buy a prize, and it would just be something she didn't want anymore. And I remember she gave me her jewelry box one time. It was amazing. It had a ballerina, those kind. Anyway, I just thought of that as I was walking in here, thinking about how I was doing that fort. Okay, so I still don't really understand who all's on besides the comments, so thank you if you are commenting. Yeah, I love the rain today. It's just perfect. I don't know. So today is a special day for me, and today's June 23rd, and it marks 11 years since the death of my kind of surrogate mom, Jan, who I named Cozy after, Cosette Jan Pratt, Jan with 2 N's. You guys have heard me talk about her before, but I haven't had time to process, and I really like to mark moments like this and process and leave space, and remembrance too is just really important. So I wasn't planning on talking about Jan at a coffee, but today is that day and I didn't have a plan, so here we are. Jan, I just wanted to show you a picture. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan in my mind. This is how I remember Jan Isn't she so pretty? Oh my God, I'm gonna cry just looking at that picture. This is Jan right here. This is literally her in a nutshell. She just was the embodiment of beauty. And I always would say that she was like just a sunbeam walking around the earth. And I cannot express to you how special this woman was, obviously to me, but to so many people. She was an artist. She was so non-judgmental. I remember the first time I visited her, kind of, we didn't have much. Like I said, growing up in a small house in a small town, didn't have much, couldn't afford much. And I remember visiting her. She's actually, her daughter was best friends with my oldest sister, and her daughter died, and we connected through that loss, unfortunately. But we went to visit her in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and she lived on this beautiful farmland in this family home that was built with the trees on the land. It was just gorgeous. And I remember my sister and I were so intimidated. And she just had this way of welcoming people in, and she could make anybody feel at home and comfortable. It didn't matter who you were. She had that gift of like making you feel like you could be yourself, and like you could, she just made people feel good about themselves. And I always, there's so many things that I love about her. But I just, sorry, I was not planning on doing this today. But that's one of the things that I often think about, because I just remember how it felt to grow up in my skin and to feel that acceptance from her. That's the kind of acceptance that I want people to feel when they interact with me. And I know I'm not as good as Jan, because she was like incredible, but I aspire, that's one of the ways that I aspire to be like her. So she was so amazing. She was an artist, and she made jewelry, and she was a weaver, and she painted, and she taught, and she did art reform in the state of Mississippi. I mean, she was just so incredible. So 11 years, cheers to Jan. I always think of Jan when I see peonies. She loved them. I mean, who doesn't? I have a painting. One of my friends made a painting of a peony for Cozy, and it's hanging in Cozy's room in honor of Jan. And I've been to Trader Joe's like 3 times in the last few weeks. They're taking really great measures to be safe, and I feel safe, so I drive going there when I need to go to the grocery store. And I literally went because I heard they had peonies, and they're kind of hard to find sometimes. And the first time I went and they weren't there, and I literally almost started crying in the store. That's how much they mean to me. And so I went yesterday and they had peonies, and I put this in my bathroom, but I brought them in here to show you. Aren't they so pretty? So pretty. Okay. So clearly I need to like go off and process alone later. But I wanted to read you a journal entry that I wrote let's see, what year is it? It was 2018. And so something you should know, you guys, some of you already know my grandmother passed away in June 2017. And our family dog, who was my first dog ever, my first kind of beloved pet, died last year in June. So like June 1st hits and I get nervous. I like literally get nervous that this is when people I love or beloved in my life are gonna die, because I'm a 6 also, so that combo is not good. So anyway, I wrote this journal entry 2 years ago after an experience that I had with a small group that we were leading. And Fran had led, look, Fran, if you're still watching, Fran led this small group on embodiment, and I had this crazy experience, so I wrote it down. And last week, this is my journal, but I don't really journal every day because life is crazy. So I have the same journal from like 3 years ago. But anyway, last week I was trying to remember something and I wondered if I wrote it down in my journal, and I didn't, but I came across this. And then today, as I was walking my office, I was like, oh, I could share that. So, so I'm just going to read this to you because I'm hoping it can be helpful to somebody else today. And so let me know if it is. It's pretty short. But I wrote June, month of grieving. I wrote, as my grandma's year anniversary of her death came and went, it dawned on me that June has truly become a month of remembering my grief. At the beginning of the month is the day marking my grandmother's death, and toward the end of the month marks Jan's death. Both women were extremely important to me. Both I loved very deeply. Both were significant losses. They are the only two people close to me who have died. And they both died, albeit years apart, in the month of June. This year, our church put on an amazing 4-week small group series on prayer called Full Spectrum, which you guys know that we did a couple months ago. We kind of redid it since we have so many new people, but doing it in person was a totally different experience. We did this group called Full Spectrum. Our last meeting was led by Fran, and the theme was embodiment. At one point, she had us all go outside. Does anyone remember this? And standing bare feet in a circle in the grass, we silently practiced the body prayer. Fran, maybe you can link to the body prayer because it's really cool. We silently practiced the body prayer, moving our arms in a repetitive motion. We begin in a prayer pose, so I'll try and show you. Okay, let me try and show you. We begin in a prayer pose, then moved them to open, first down low, then raised high, and then crossed at our chest. We moved each at our own pace in silence. And as I prayed, okay, this is the motion we're doing over and over and over. As I prayed, I found that, as I prayed with my body, I found the image of Jan came to my mind, followed by my grandma. And I felt grief anew from both their losses. The grief hit me in waves as I continued my motions in silence, pondering why both of them kept popping in my mind. I saw them like I always do. Jan's radiant smile and my grandma at her kitchen window in Homer, the natural light pouring into that simple space, her looking out always in that same spot, waiting, I don't know what for. Their faces kept coming to me again and again, and each set of motions felt like an invitation to just let it in. I had this thought, this word. Every time I raised my arms, my spirit invited the grief. Then, as I crossed my arms to my chest, the spirit held the grief. So tight, so close, but ultimately I had to move on and continue the motions. Prayer, then my arms lowered and opened as if I was letting it go. And my spirit was speaking, the Spirit of God in me. It was making space for grief, giving me room and time to feel it, hold it close, but then ultimately letting it go. I continued to move through these motions, tears stinging my eyes in pain, but oddly comforted, oddly hopeful. I felt my letting go motion was also an empowering motion to be. To grieve, yes, but then to ultimately let it go and be. To Cozy, to Lyle, to people I love, to be all the good I saw in these women, and by doing so, to continue sharing their presence in the world. As long as I'm still here, they're still here. And Cozy can know them. It was an intense, revelatory moment in time for me. I felt them so close and knew in that moment part of my call is to share what I loved of them with others. June is my month to grieve, and through grieving, remember. I remember them. I remember pieces of me they shaped. I feel, I accept, I let go, and I share. That was my journal entry for, I don't know, I already lost it, June 2018 at some point. So I just wanted to share that in the event that it was helpful to someone. For one, body prayer is just a really cool way to pray if you're in deconstruction or if you're just overwhelmed and you don't have words. Body prayers are really great to pray, but then also just the grief aspect of what I experienced, the idea of letting it happen, of holding it close, of ultimately letting it go and being and knowing that the people that you lose, as much as we want them physically here, we can still find a sense of joy and gratitude in that they are still here as long as we remember them and as long as we embody them. And so I try to embody my grandma by being true to myself, by not apologizing for my fire, by finding laughter in some of the quirks that I haven't always liked about myself, like my stubbornness or my smartassness or my sarcasm. And I try to embody Jan through radical love of others, radical mindfulness of others, radical generosity, and just a joy in being in the present moment that she was able to embody. And I love that I can mark days like today, have my daughter come sit with me, we'll look at pictures, we'll talk about Jan, and we won't let her be forgotten in our story. And so that's kind of where I am today. That's what I'm going to be up to. I'm not really thinking about anything else today, but playing with my kid and remembering Jan and granting space for whatever that needs to look like this year. So anyway, thanks for sitting here with me. I also just want to say about the body prayer, that time that Fran shared that small group with us was really monumental for me because it was probably the first time in a faith setting that I really was taught about and engaged with embodiment. Now, 2 years later, I feel so amazed looking back and thinking about how much more embodied my faith is, how much more I'm able to listen to my actual physical body and what it's trying to tell me about my spirit or about my emotions or whatever. And that is so huge and so important. And it really all goes back to that time that Fran really taught us about it and brought it into the faith conversation of our community. So anyway, I have gratitude for that. And I see that Fran's linked to some stuff. So I'm going to check out the comments and I hope you guys have a good day. Let us know if you need anything. Don't forget to buy a mask. We've sold like 75 last I checked or something, which is past our goal. We have like, I don't know, 10 days or something left. So yeah, go check it out. Go check out that mask link on our page or someone maybe linked to it. And yeah, have a good Tuesday. You guys, Brittany will be on tomorrow for Coffee with a Guest Pastor. And we have a little house concert live on our Facebook page on Thursday evening. Calvin Clary is one of our own. He's an Americana singer-songwriter. He's amazing. He's going to play a 30-minute set out at Camp at the Hills where Drew Bowen and Amanda Bowen are. So check out all our social media because we do have stuff coming up. All right, talk to you later.